Unit 5, Delivery Modes and Instructional Approaches. Inquiry. It is more than asking a student what he or she wants to know. It's about triggering curiosity and activating a student curiosity is, I would argue, a far more important and complex goal than a mere information delivery. So despite its complexity, inquiry is based on learning can be easier on teacher, partly because it transfers some responsibilities from teachers to student, but mostly because releasing authority engages the students. Sometimes it's known as the inquiry method. It is a student-centered method of education and focused on asking questions. Students are encouraged to ask questions which are meaningful to them and which do not necessarily have easy answers. Teachers are encouraged to avoid giving answers when this is possible and in any case to avoid giving direct answer in favor of asking more questions. It is important to define inquiry-based learning from both a learner and a teacher perspective. So from a student point of view, inquiry is based on learning, focuses on investigating an open question or problem. So they must be used evidence based on reasoning and creative problem solving to reach a conclusion which they must defend or present. And for the teacher point of view, inquiry is based on teaching focuses on moving student beyond general curiosity into the realms of critical thinking and understanding. So you must encourage students to ask questions and support them through the investigation process, understanding when to begin and how to structure an inquiry activity. Using methods such as guided research documents, analysis and questions, and answer sessions, you can run inquiry activities in this form of, for example, case studies, group project, and research project. So let's go on to discovery. It encourages learners to build on past experiences and knowledge, use their intuition, imagination, and creativity, and search for new information to discover facts, correlation, and new truths. Learning does not equal absorbing what was said or read, but actively seeking for answers and solutions. Now, imagine in this picture, elementary student walk into a classroom and see a basic skeleton with the models of heart, lungs, kidneys, stomach, and intestine laying on a table in the center of the room. Students gather around in a circle to see the models of organs and begin to guess the name of each body part in its function. And through trial and error, they figure out where each organ fits in the model. There are 5 principles of discovery. Principle 1, problem solving. Instructors should guide and motivate learners to seek for solution by combining existing and newly acquired information and simplifying knowledge. So this way, learners are the driving force behind learning. Take an active role and establish broader application for skill through activities that encourage risk, problem solving, and probing. Principle 2, learner management. Instructors should allow participants to work either alone or with others and learn at their own pace. So this flexibility makes learning the exact opposite of a static sequencing of lessons and activities, relieves learners from unnecessary stress and makes them feel they own learning. Principle 3, integrating and connecting. Instructors should teach learners how to combine prior knowledge with new and encourage them to connect to the real world. Familiar scenarios become the basis of new information, encouraging learners to extend what they know and invent something new. Principle 4, information analysis and interpretation. Discovery learning is process-oriented and not content-oriented, and is based on the assumption that learning is not a mere set of facts. So learners in fact learn to analyze and interpret the acquired information rather than memorize the correct answers. Lastly, failure and feedback. Learning doesn't only occur when we find the right answer. It also occurs through failure. So, discovery learning does not focus on finding the right end result, but the new things we discover in the process. And it's the instructor's responsibility to provide feedback since without it, learning is incomplete. Conceptual process. Students must have the ability to apply their knowledge in today's competitive environment. This is why conceptual learning is the key to successful education. At its core, conceptual learning enables students to use what is familiar or what they have already experienced to better understand new subject matter. When students and learners have a firm understanding of the concepts, how they are related to one another, and a few exemplars of each concept, they begin to develop their own framework that will help them draw conclusions about any situation throughout their career. So, conceptual learning involves students engage in quality learning experiences based around key concepts and central ideas rather than using the more traditional method of focusing on learning on topics. It provides a holistic and conceptual framework for designing integrated units of works, connecting learning with syllabus content, knowledge and skills, and it also embeds the use of teaching strategies reflective of the quality teaching framework. So let's go on to reflective. It involves in student thinking about what they have read, done, or learned, relating the lesson at the hand to their own lives, and making meaning out of the material. It's more than just memorizing some facts, formulas, or dates. So reflective is a form of education in which the student reflects upon their learning experiences. A theory about reflective learning cites it's an intentional and complex process that recognizes the role of social contents and experience. The goal of the process are the clarification and the creation of meaning in terms of self, which then led to a changed conceptual perspective. There are several advantages of reflective learning for the student, which include accepting responsibility for your learning and as a result for your personal growth, becoming metacognitive or aware of your internal thinking process, becoming aware of your motives with your action, seeing a link between the work you are putting into learning and what you are getting out of it. Experiential. It focuses on the idea that the best way to learn things is by actually having experience. Those experiences then stick out in your mind and help you retain information and remember. So, learning by doing. A process of learning through experience that is more specifically defined as learning through reflection and doing. Hands-on learning can be a form of experiential learning but does not necessarily involve student reflecting on their product. So, example of this is going to the zoo to learn about animals through observation instead of reading about them, and growing a garden to learn about photosynthesis instead of watching a movie about it. For teachers, creating opportunities for students to have experiences based on the things they are learning about is the key. Teacher can help create environments where the student can learn and have experience at the same time.
So let's move on to the cooperative learning. So from the word itself, cooperative meaning it has a social participation, cooperation, or working together to accomplish shared goals. So this its main purpose of this theory is to actively involve students in the learning process. So, by combining teamwork and individual accountability, students work toward acquiring both knowledge and social skills. So, this approach is it's not just about a gaining or sharing knowledge, but also developing your participation skills, cooperation skills, and communication skills within a group. There are two major theoretical perspectives associated with cooperative learning. So first is the motivational. So cooperative learning, it has a huge contribution in increasing student motivation because students perceive that their success or failure is dependent upon their ability to work together as a group. Students are likely to encourage each other to do whatever helps the group succeed, and also by giving them more control over their learning process. So the second one is the cognitive. So it helps students acquire critical thinking skills. So because cooperative learning creates a situation in which students must explain and discuss various perspectives. The seventh approach is the constructivist. So it is mainly associated with katong theory pod ni John Locke, which is tabula rasa or blank slate. So this learning theory says that all knowledge is constructed from a base of prior knowledge. Children are not a blank slate on knowledge, can't be imparted without the children making sense of it according to his or her current conceptions. So, therefore, children learn best when they are allowed to construct a personal understanding based on experiencing things and reflecting on those experiences. So, in the constructivist classrooms, the teacher rules is the rule of teachers in the constructivist classroom is to prompt and facilitate discussion. Thus, the teacher's main focuses is should be in guiding students by asking questions that will lead them to develop their own conclusions on the subject. So there are some activities that encourage in constructivist classroom. It includes first is the experimentation. So students individually perform an experiment and then come together in a class to discuss the result. So mas tsada man gyud kung may actual nga pag-perform rather than nga magsige na lag-discuss para mas dali matun-an ang process. So next is the research project. So students research a topic and can present their findings to the class. So third is the field trips. So this allows students to put the concepts and ideas discussed in class in a real world context. So the fifth one is the films. This provides a visual context and thus bring another sense into the learning experience. So the last is the class discussions. So this technique is used in all of the methods described above, katong experimentation, research project, field trips, films. So without class discussions is useless tanan imong napangbuhat. Just like kanang, di ba, kung doing experiment is dapat masyado na-discuss first, then plus nari actual nga presentation or actual nga pangbuhaton para dali bitaw masabtan ang process sa topic or sa kuan ma context. So in mastery, teachers will be taught content and spend time becoming true masters of content, applying and being creative with new knowledge and skills in multiple ways. In short, this means working towards first, teach less, learn more. So of course, it is essential in the four corners of classroom nga less teacher talk and more evidencing learning and progress. And then second is no child left behind. So all children or students are enabled to keep up every day. So we must help each other. Dili lang ang teacher ang mag-help sa mga estudyante, but also kita pod as ato ang classmate is kung nasya wala na sabdan is, and then kabaluta dapat ato siyang i-approach, ato siyang tabangan. Third is the space and time to experience and apply with all children entitled to additional support para ma-ensure nga they do not fall behind or madu sila sa kanang to go deeper. So last is understanding real life. So this applications wherever possible to make learning relevant and not abstract. So nothing should be taught without a purpose, diba? So lastly is the computer assisted instruction. So na siya duha ka pamaagi nga interactions between individual student and the computer, just as happens in the tutorial system between also the teacher and the individual student. So the interaction between the individual learner and the computer device helps the realization of the set instructional objectives. So in CAI, there are 6 types or modes. So first is the informational instruction. It helps the learner get the desired information he needs. Second is the drill and practice. So it provides the learner with different types of drill and practice programs covering specific topics related to a particular object. So the third one is the tutorial type computer assistive instruction. So in this type of CAI, the computers are engaged in actual teaching. Here, they can play effectively the role of a tutor by maintaining a perfect interaction and dialogue with the individual students. So the fourth one is the educational game type. So in it, the learners are provided with a variety of well-designed computer games. And these games should not be confused with academic type games. Its purpose is to provide intellectual challenge, stimulation of curiosity, and serve as a source of motivation to the individual learner. So fifth is the simulation type of instruction. So simulation is used as a technique for providing or training the students. Such type of instructional activities provides powerful learning tools to them. With the carefully prepared programs, the students are made to face real or idealized situations. The last one is the problem-solving type. So this type of the CAI focuses on the process of finding an answer to a problem rather than the answer itself. So here, the students are provided with programs that can make them think about the ways and means of solving the problem systematically rather.